Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
These words ring true today. The great essential to our happiness and prosperity is that we adhere to the principles upon which the government was established and insist upon their faithful observance. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday, October 3rd. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you and your family, your friends, your neighbors, everybody out there. Good morning. Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Great big fall tire sale going on right now. And also, don't forget some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today, 734-6969. Let's go to the telephone right now and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doug, later on, in about another 25 minutes or so, I'm going to have a little story on. I want you to call back and comment on. I appreciate it if you would, my friend.
You got it.
All right, thank you much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. But first and foremost, let's have our weather forecast, and it's brought to you by K&R Rental. Good old boys over there with Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Number to call, 678-3122. They throw open the doors at 7 in the morning and say, come on in. We've got everything you need, all your tools, all your equipment, everything from forklifts to lawn mowers to you name it. They've got it at K&R Rental. In Heyburn, 678-3122. Here now, our weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday as we saddle up and ride again for another day, looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be on the breezy side. Winds out of the east-northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour, increasing as we get through the afternoon. Gusts high as possible is 25. High of 55 is what we're expecting for today. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling in, bringing along with it a chance of rain showers. Winds are going to remain consistent. Gusts as possible as 30 miles an hour. Low of 38 for tonight. Tomorrow, 50% chance of rain showers, mostly in the morning. Looking at partly cloudy skies by tomorrow afternoon with a high of 53. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 54. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 59. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Good morning. These are really good folks, and they've got all your tools and equipment, and they'll even deliver to the job site and then come pick them up. Hey, K&R Rental, 678-3122. You call them today. Don't forget, Thursdays are sale day. At the sale that works for you, the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, with Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. The number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, sale on Thursday at 11 a.m. With Merv and the crew, you be there. The sale that works for you. I want to say thank you. Thank you very, very much. All of you that called me, all of you that sent emails, all of you that sent me cards and gifts for my birthday yesterday. It was a big one yesterday, and I really appreciate a lot of you stopped by. I don't want to name everybody because if I forget somebody, I'd feel terrible, but thank you very, very much. It was a great birthday yesterday. Didn't do anything as far as go anywhere or go out to eat or anything. Just spent time with my lovely bride, and we went out and we got a little fireplace, built a little fire, sat there by the fireplace and watched the clouds roll by. It was a good birthday. I enjoyed that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. Daryl's Cleaners, don't forget, they are the best. And Kevin has got a neat deal over there. He can waterproof your tents and your clothing. I mean, you're going up hunting. You don't want to be all soggy and wet and cold. The tent leaks, Martha. No, you want to make sure it's all taken care of. Stop in at Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. The best cleaners anywhere, and they can take care of what you've got. I take in my Rumply Crumplies, and they all come home looking brand spanking new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. We have got some really good people coming on the program this morning. And, of course, we try to do that every day. At 9:06, we've got Ray Jensen with the Minidoka Hospital. Dan Perkins at 9:30, one of the foremost terror experts in the United States. 10:06, Dr. History. And then at 10:32, a lady that I really think she does a great job writing for the stream, Liberty McCarter, is going to come on talking about the absolute mess and destruction and chaos in Las Vegas. Don't forget, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, the place to go anytime, all the time. Doesn't matter what your watch says. If you're hungry, go on in there. They're open and ready to serve you with the best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner all the time. America's Diner. And don't forget, they've got another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Holy cow! You'd better get in there. And also, I want to mention to you that on Thursdays, we give away a free Grand Slam breakfast to Denny's with our football trivia contest. So don't miss that on Thursdays at about 9:15. Great place to go with your family and friends or all by your lonesome into Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Really, really good. Come on, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Before I get things rolling here this morning, I also want to thank Ramsey Heating and Electric. Rita's on the air with us every Thursday at 9:30, and I want to say thank you very much to all she does, kind of highlighting and exposing a lot of the news that maybe you don't know about various stories. I appreciate that. Well, you can stop into Ramsey Heating and Electric anytime at 2600 Overland Avenue for all your heating, electrical needs. They've got them. They've got them, a great big inventory and super smart people. And they've got all your furnace filters to make sure your little toesies, when they hit the floor, are warm in the morning. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 6780459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. In the aftermath of the mass killing and injuring in Las Vegas, I talked to my son yesterday up in Boise, Napa area, and he shared with me that a buddy of his with the fire department had friends down there at this concert in Las Vegas, and they were in the midst of the melee when all heck broke loose down there with the shooting and the running and the jumping over barricades and the literal tramping of people that couldn't get out of the way. And I have asked if one of the two would come on my program, and to be very honest with you, the memories and the horrors of what happened there are really distinct in their memories, and we're going to wait a few days before we try to get them on the air and talk about it. It was absolutely horrendous, very chilling, and so sad. And the shooter had this planned to the nth degree. This just didn't happen from someone going up and renting a room on the 32nd floor of the hotel and then breaking a window and shooting. No, the transportation of all the ammunition and the heaviness, the weight of all the activity and all the guns. I mean, this had to be a concentrated effort for quite some time to get all of this material, if you will, by the security guards, be that as it may, in this hotel and up to that room. The guns, the ammo, the location, the time, all of this had to be established through a terrible planned event. 59 people. 59 people today are dead for doing nothing more or wrong other than getting a ticket to go enjoy a great big harvest fest of country music in Las Vegas. And the number that I'm about to read absolutely staggers me, of 527 people injured. 59 dead, 527 injured, and all by one, supposedly, and allegedly, evil man. I mean, I'm just sickened and disheartened about this. Caller, just one moment. I'll be right with you. Please stand by. I want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I took a lot of time to go there, be there, and let them help me, and they did. And they're the ones that really I give a lot of credit to, getting me back on the go. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191. Make an appointment because they can and will help you get back to being you. The best of physical therapists, best of exercises, and that hydrotherapy pool, it's the best. Like I said, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
You know, this fella that did all that damage, he's just probably hundreds of people who have been radicalized in this country. They're discontented with everything that's going on. There's nothing you can absolutely do with them. And
oh, wait a minute, though, Tony, wait a minute. We don't know that. We don't know for sure if he was radicalized. And I'm not trying to correct you. And Wheels, watch the feedback on the telephone. I'm not trying to correct you, but you know as well as I do, Tony, that until all the facts are out, I am not going to state one way or the other.
Well, he hasn't gone overseas to do it. There's a lot of discontented people in here that hate America.
Okay.
And this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's gone over there to get radicalized. You don't have to go over there to be radicalized. You can do it right here in this country.
Well, I agree with that. And Wheels, over at the studio, you've got to watch that. Thank you very much. A lot of feedback coming down the line. Tony, the thing is, we don't know anything about this guy. It's a mystery to the FBI. It's a mystery to the Las Vegas police and all the authorities because, honestly, we don't know Kamir from Sickened about this guy.
Well, I hope they do come up with something concrete. It just be, I don't know how to explain what's going on, but this is just my personal feeling of people that have hatred for America, and they'll go overboard to prove their point.
That I agree with you on, 1,000%. And I'll say something else further. The naivete of the American public and others in charge of civic leadership thinking that it can't happen here, it won't happen here, everybody that comes here is a goody two-shoes carrying a rainbow of goodies. It ain't happening, and we need to be much more watchful and wary. That I agree with you on.
Yeah, I think this is just the beginning of something even bigger. So that's just my personal opinion, Zed.
All right, my dear friend. I love arbitrating with you when we have to. Good morning to you and Mary. God bless.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Zed.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I'm only going to stay with the facts on any story. And sometimes I might sound a little short with some of my listeners. Please do not take that as any animosity whatsoever. But we have to remain true to what is the truth about any and all stories. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to get into a story on a local basis that absolutely offends me. And offend is not a good word. It just teased me off about the stupidity of certain local leaders and what's going on. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric teaming up with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Oh, my goodness, you can feel good, snuggy warm on the inside with the Lennox Home Comfort Systems, and very possibly get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new home comfort system from Lennox and our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. You know, I absolutely have a lot of empathy and sympathy for anyone that has to live at home, stay home alone, and try to take care of themselves. And it can be a very kind of a dicey situation. You know, with being alone and all the safety hazards maybe of falling or whatever, and not really wanting to get up and make a meal other than maybe have a graham cracker or whatever, and miss medication. That's something else people have to be worried about, especially seniors. Well, seniors, listen to me. There is a place that offers the ability for seniors to maintain their independence and their safety and live very comfortably, and that's at Pomerell Place, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. The number to call, and you should, is 677-8212. And that number again, 677-8212, Pomerell Place. You know, one of the comments, you know me, I'm not going to ever back water or pack water to anybody's horse. I must add that a CBS executive... Now, if you didn't hear this, I want you to pay attention to this. A CBS female executive was, after some talk and conversation about the problem, finally fired yesterday for an absolutely stupid, underline the word stupid, statement that she made, and I'm going to paraphrase it. I don't have the exact one right in front of me. I've heard it about 3 or 4 times on the news last night, and my jaw just hung down. I couldn't believe anybody could be this dumb. She said, in regards to the shooting in Las Vegas, oh, it's too bad, but most that go to country music festivals are Republicans anyway. What? Yeah. A CBS female executive basically made a stupid, absolutely horrific statement. Yeah, the shooting, well, it's too bad, but most that go to the country music festivals, they're Republicans anyway. As if their lives don't matter. How repulsive. I honestly hope that this morning, this former CBS executive is applying for a janitor job. She does not deserve any better. And then Hillary Clinton. This sounds very crass, but it is absolutely the truth. In the area of the shooting, they had not even taken all the bodies of these dead people to the morgue, and Hillary Clinton jumps out and says and uses the shooting as a political tool for more gun control and a board to the face of the National Rifle Association and all of its members, of which I am a member. You know, it's absolutely despicable to me. And how any politician could be that brazenly dumb, well, in Hillary's case, I can understand how she could be that dumb, to come out when within hours of a absolutely despicable killing spree, They, people like Hillary Clinton, use it for their political gain. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service at 336 South, 450 West of Paul. Numbers to call, I'll give you both of them. Write them down, hurry. 438-2485 or 431-8733. Time to get all the trees trimmed. Time to get all the trees pruned. And make sure that if you're putting in a new sprinkler system or revamping the old one, get it done now. Call them at Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 431-8733, waiting to serve you. Also, these folks are new to our program, but by golly, I really appreciate them. The job they did for me was absolutely outstanding. And I'm talking about Dino's Septic Service over in Rupert. My goodness, they've got a job a lot of us don't want. Let's face it, I mean, the stink and the smell and everything. Hey, no, you don't want to be messing around with septic service, but they do a great job. They pump all the septic tanks, and they put them in installation, and they have the backhoe service and the water and sewer lines installed. These people know, and they do the job you don't want to even get close to. And they got a great big old truck that says, "Smells Cargo." I love it. You call them today. The way to serve you is by calling them Dino's in Rupert at 436-6526 or in Burley 678-1638. These are really good people. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Today, President Trump goes to Puerto Rico and views the just absolutely terrible, horrific devastation over there. And then tomorrow, he's going to Las Vegas. What I like about this president, but he'll never get any credit from the press. No, you can bet on that. He's a hands-on president. He's a hands-on president, and that's something I feel like we've lacked for a long time here in the United States. And one of the things that happened yesterday in regards to this just absolutely horrific event in Las Vegas, I don't know how many of you watched the White House press briefing yesterday at approximately noon, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and what it proved to me, watching her, was the humanity that's still alive in politics. She got up, and she is from a very religious family. And she got up and fought back the tears and really choked up about this terrible Las Vegas shooting. And like I said, it showed the human side of politics. And then I couldn't believe, after she had gone through her little report about what the president was going to do and a tribute to those in Las Vegas that helped, all the quick response people, the police and the military that were there, and all the private citizens that jumped in at no thought or caring for their own life and were trying to help others. The blatantly dumb and callous questions by some of the reporters. And bam! Right away, some of these nitwits went right to gun control and, the callousness. And it was almost the non-caring about our fellow citizens that died just literally hours before. And then these reporters, with the soul and personality of Satan himself, I just absolutely found it spiteful and hateful that the reporters for various media could be that blatantly stupid. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence. Stay with me just a moment. I want to remind everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental. And they've got 3 locations to serve you: South Lincoln in Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin, and, of course, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, Juan, over at the Burley location. Man, there's a football guy, I'll tell you what. And all your equipment rentals, all your equipment sales, they have the equipment to get the job done right. Going to do a lot of work, spruce up, clean up this fall? Well, by golly, you better get in there and check out all the Bobcat excavators. They got them all for sale or rent, all shapes and sizes, at Berry Equipment and Rental. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning, and thank you.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, what was really refreshing, and it really pleased me, was Mrs. Sanders, Harris Huckabee Sanders, and President Trump, when they was talking about the devastation in Las Vegas, the terrible thing that happened. They used a Bible verse.
Yeah. Yep.
That was so refreshing.
And that was also criticized, not during that event, but later, by some of the liberal Democrats.
I know it. And I listened to her press conference she had real briefly yesterday at lunch. And it's amazing how one-sided these reporters are, can ask the same question 10 different ways. And, I mean, it's just, like she says, I'm used to it. I got a 3-year-old at home.
Yeah, you know something, Doug? This is not the story I wanted you to comment on. But, again, Wheels, watch the feedback over there a little bit, buddy. But you know something? What you just brought up about the arrogancy and the stupidity all at the same time of these media members. They take a question, and they take like it's a nail in the hammer, and they keep pounding it and changing the verbiage slightly. How many times do you have to say no and have it mean something else?
That's just it. They are 3-year-olds. They are brainwashed. They have an ideology which is the same as the Nazis had, the same as the ISIS have. They have one thing in mind, and that is to bring in socialism and liberalism into this country.
Well, and the other thing they're trying to do, though, I'm going to make an addendum to what you just said, is that they want to keep always prying open the door of liberalism into every subject so that they can make conservatives look like they fell on their face.
Exactly. When they're the ones that's getting egg all over their face, and they don't see it, because everybody keeps patting everybody else on the back that's following the agenda.
Yeah.
The American people see it. They should look back to last November. The American people told them how they felt about it.
You know, right now, I am very concerned about what's happening in this country. The newspaper story about what happened in Twin Falls the other night at a meeting about watching our speech, and it was called "A Coalition Aims to Confront Hate." That is the story I wanted to talk to you about, because a group of Twin Falls, they said a local group, they didn't mention any names or anything, reached out to an Idaho coalition, a group called United Vision for Idaho, and the lecturer by the name of Adrienne Evans. Let me tell you something, Doug. This is very insidious, because this woman, Adrienne Evans, made a couple of comments that were carried over in the Times News newspaper story, as she described Twin Falls as a haven for white nationalists. I picked up on that and told my wife, I said, I am extremely offended by that, because I am white. You are too. And yes, I am a nationalist to the point where I believe in my country first and foremost above anything or anyone else. And when I am denigrated by some silly little woman that comes out and says a haven for white nationalists, I am really, really offended. And she said the hate speech that was caused by Donald Trump has been picked up by others. I guess she's also meaning me. And she said it's not normal, it's not acceptable. I am so teed off at these so-called Twin Falls liberal zealots that are absolutely calling themselves leaders in the community, but when in essence I think they're absolutely dividing the community.
They are. That is their opinion, okay? They have a right to their opinion. But let's get some facts behind their opinion to back it, and they have none. The only thing they have is the race card, the hate speech, the microaggressions, all this political correctness crap that is, all it is a pimp or holding down free speech.
Well,
that's only political correctness. That's all it is.
Well, you know, the thing that's really starting to show every day in the news, and I dare somebody to prove me wrong because I've got a pile of stories here. There are at least 15 stories here where people are denigrating Caucasians by using the terminology white supremacists, white nationalists, etc., and lumping all Caucasians into the same barrel. I'm telling you, Doug, we're going to see more division in this country, but the left can't see their faults. They can't see the log in their eye, and it's easy for them to call conservatives all the bad names. I am sick and tired of this because I'm a very concerned and caring citizen that is very thoughtful about others. I've proven that. I don't have to talk about my record, and I guarantee you I do not like being called a white nationalist.
Exactly. Your actions show exactly what kind of character you have, Zeb, and you have helped more organizations and more people. You know, you're just a good Christian man, and you have the right attitude. And 90% of us here in the United States have the same attitude. There's the liberal left that just can't understand how we can be happy, you know, saying God and country and God bless America when they have shunned God at their national convention.
Absolutely.
And they have put down God. And the last president wouldn't, he said God bless America, but I knew he wasn't meaning that, and he knew he wasn't meaning that.
The thing that really has got me on edge this morning about this story is that the so-called Twin Falls community leadership, you know, with the city council, the mayor, and others, and they bring in these people like this Adrienne Evans and this group called United Visions for Idaho to come and say, well, others of conservative value, you know, they're out preaching hate, whether it's me or any other talk show host. I'm not preaching hate. I'm preaching concern and cause for watching and being aware of how our country is falling apart by a very constituted effort of wary and individuals that are trying to tear apart our Constitution and bring chaos into our society.
Right. Exactly. And with this gal coming in and with these refugees coming into Twin and that refugee organ, I would love to see where the money goes.
Yeah.
It's all about the money and CSI and uppity ups, and I wouldn't put it above the city council to be backing up to the trough and grabbing a little bit for themselves.
Well, there again, it's speculation, but the one thing that really bothers me about the liberal left and people that are generally zealous liberals is our speech, your speech, our concerns about the refugees, our concerns about immigration, our concerns about society in general. Oh my goodness, all of a sudden that goes underneath the category of two words, hate speech, and it's got to be stopped.
Yeah, hate speech, and you're a white supremacist if you think that way.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of Spanish people that think the same way. What are they going to say to them?
I'm really concerned that, like in Twin Falls case, a city that has really been taken over, I think, like I said earlier, of liberal zealots, and having somebody come in and denigrate most all of our population by calling us white nationalists. You know, let's talk about that definition a little bit. I'm white, you're white, and I love this country. I love this Constitution. I absolutely have tears in my eyes for the veterans and everybody else that's fought so hard and given their lives the ultimate for the protection of me and my family. So, yeah, I guess I am a white nationalist.
Well, yeah. Like you say, I am white, but there's a lot of Spanish nationalists, and there's a lot of black nationalists. There's even Asian nationalists. So,
but the idiots on the left, and that's what they are, by pointing a finger at the whites today. You see what's happening? They're calling us the white ideology, like that stupid professor yesterday in Pennsylvania that said, don't work hard, don't put forth an effort because you're just falling into the rut of being a white ideologue. This is insane.
It is. It is the KKK in reverse.
Yeah. I got to run and pay some bills.
They're the ones that had the KKK. They got a lot of the inner cities where they want them. Now they're trying to get the whites where they want them.
Well, I can guarantee you one thing. From now on, anytime I hear about a group called the United Vision for Idaho, I am not only going to scoff at their presence, I'm going to berate and belittle them because of really what they are. They are nothing more than tunnel vision liberals that can't stand conservative moral values.
I'm going to look them up. What are they called again?
According to the newspaper, which, of course, that's from the Times News, the United Vision for Idaho, with the executive director, Adrienne Evans, that made the stupid remarks about Twin Falls being a haven for white nationalists.
All right, I'm going to see if I can Google that group.
Let me know what you find out, buddy. I haven't had time. Thank you. I got to pay some bills. I'm way late. Thank you. Thank you. Don't forget, of course, our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and check out the home comfort systems from Lennox. Oh, my goodness sakes. During the cold weather this winter, you can be indoors and comfortable. And check it out. You may get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox home comfort system. Check it out at Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Let's see, what else have I got to tell you real quick? Oh, caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Want to remind you, too, about the best doggone plumber in the world. Yep, he is. I don't make any bones about it. I mean, this guy is good. Nathan Harris and Harris Plumbing NG, out of Burley. Number to call, and remember this, 431-8633. This man and his ability and what they've done to serve others is absolutely a dedication to perfection. They do the job. They do it so well, polite, and believe me, you'll thank me for calling them. 431-8633. You need a plumber? Call Harris Plumbing NG. 431-8633. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Ted. You know, your commercial, I really appreciate that because my granddaughter married Jared's brother. I mean, Jared is the one that she married, and that is Nathan's brother.
Right.
And you're right, they do the best in plumbing.
All right, sir. I totally agree with what you said. Now, what other reason did you call?
Well, the reason I called is, you know, I admire you so much because you do not deal in speculation, and you know that. And whenever I get a little off the rail, you'll always bring me back around, and I appreciate that. But the thing that I'm concerned about now, and this is not speculation, but these leftists, and I don't even know who they are trying to pin the security of the hotel for the blame. Now, this goes right back to trying to get past the black people who think the police, and that's what they are really, is police people in a private situation.
Well, to some extent, Keith, my old friend, I agree with you, but let's just be really open and honest here. I have probably stayed at many more hotels, motels, etc., all around the world than most people. And I don't think I have ever seen at any time in some of the biggest hotels in the world or even some of the tiniest, anybody come up and ask, well, may we check your bags, sir? There hasn't been any check of the luggage or whatever you're taking up to your room. I know that many times when I go to conventions, people will get those little gurneys, those little little carts, and they'll put like 10, 12 boxes plus suitcases on them. Nobody checks anything going to the room. And I know it's hindsight saying so-and-so should have done this and so-and-so should have checked that. But now, after the event has happened, now sure, I know there probably will be more security, but I'm not going to point the finger of blame at anybody.
Yeah, how many times has there been pets snuggled into a room?
That's right.
Don't allow.
That's right.
And then security people cannot be everywhere. And I think they do a good job. I've stayed at a few hotels myself. And the upscale, like the MGM and some of the other hotels. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, your point is extremely well taken, and I'm glad you brought it up because, you know, after an event takes place, a horrific event like this, and then to start pointing fingers of, you should have done this, we could have done that, hey, wait a minute. No, that's not going to do any good. It's not going to bring anybody back. It's not going to heal anybody up from their injuries. What needs to be done now is say, okay, we have a new track to run on, and this is what we're going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again. But turning around over your shoulder and pointing fingers isn't going to save anybody or bring anyone back.
That's certainly true. And in closing, I'd like to say that the police and security are one of the same. And there's many of these people, from what I've heard, you know, which is speculation, that they actually shielded people and they went up to the hotel room with, when the gunfire was still blazing, I guess, and took their life in harm's way.
That's right. There were a lot of people that absolutely did put their life in harm's way. Keith, God bless you, man. Appreciate your call. Always. Thank you.
Bye.
You know, what Keith just said is really true. Some of the stories that are coming out of Las Vegas, as far as people literally falling on purpose on top of people to shield their bodies from any further harm or any more gunshots. And then they were shot. Police officers doing the same thing. One story that just almost brought me to solid tears this morning was a off-duty police officer, and there was a mother and daughter at the event, and he ran over. The mother had been shot, and the daughter was sitting there kneeling, crying, trying to help her mother, and the police officer said, "You go run, save your life, I'll stay with your mother." And I got to throw this in. I know I'm late for my weather forecast. But last night, I watched the beginning of the Monday Night Football between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington Redskins. I told you I would. And I watched as the teams lined up along the sideline for the national anthem. And I had hatred in my eyes and my fists were clenched when I saw two Kansas City Chiefs sitting and just fiddling around with their gloves, etc., on the sidelines during the anthem. And then I thought about that story of that police officer, an off-duty police officer running over to this girl and saying, "Run, save yourself, I will stay with your mother and take care of her," with no thought or regard to his life. And this lazy, slovenly, overpaid, underworked football player, two of them, sat during our national anthem. I condemn them. Calls are welcome, and right now time for our weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room in Rupert. The number to call for a hearing screening, and I urge you to do so. I did absolutely the best thing I ever did. When you notice a diminishment in your hearing, please get a hold of the best, Dr. Christine Pickup, at the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in all of southern Idaho. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday as we saddle up and ride again for another day, looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be on the breezy side. Winds out of the east-northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour, increasing as we get through the afternoon. Gusts high as possible is 25. High of 55 is what we're expecting for today. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling in, bringing along with it a chance of rain showers. Winds are going to remain consistent. Gusts as possible as 30 miles an hour. Low of 38 for tonight. Tomorrow, 50% chance of rain showers, mostly in the morning. Looking at partly cloudy skies by tomorrow afternoon with a high of 53. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 54. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 59. That's your weather for Zeb at the Range.
And thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, this lady does know hearing, and she knows all about sound. Please, don't sit there and go, huh? What'd he say, Martha? Be sure and give them a call today at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am going to be a, hopefully, one-man wrecking crew against these absolute destitute of any moral value football players. There is no football player, I don't care what color his skin is, that is going to sit there during our national anthem and have any respect from me whatsoever. I condemn them. I absolutely, and I'm going to bare my chest on this, I was really hoping that those two players last night might run into a kind of a dangerous situation with maybe a cross block or whatever, and they would have to leave the game. I know a lot of you might not like that, but that's the way I feel. They sat during the national anthem, as many have, and I condemn all of them. And I thought about the policemen. I thought about the quick responders. I thought about the private citizens that just wanted to jump in and help others that were shot, maimed, losing arms and legs, and they wanted to help. Some of which the police officers, they died giving assistance. And then I thought about the pond scum, and there's other names I'd like to use, but I cannot stand this young man, Colin Kaepernick, wearing the socks, depicting our police en masse as pigs. Don't you dare send me an email. Don't you dare send me a call on my phone. Don't you dare call me on this radio program and damn me for my thoughts against these athletes. I stand behind my condemnation of these people. I stand behind my condemnation of the NFL for not having the backbone to rectify this problem a long time ago. And I urge others to condemn what's happening in our country against our flag, against our values, our Constitution. It's about high time the good in society prevailed. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and they're having a huge fall tire sale right now. We're always at your Les Schwab Tire Centers. Doing the right thing matters. They've got all the best of tires for all your fall and winter driving. You better stop in and check them out now. Like on sale currently is the Eclipse tire. Great premium traction, superior ride quality. It's on sale now for your passenger cars. Better get in there and also check out all the brake service and the front end alignments, the shocks and the struts, and the batteries. They've got all the batteries you need right there at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Where doing the right thing matters, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I did have a call the other day, and somebody said, well, yeah, it's easy for you to condemn like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Oakland Raiders and everything. What about your Green Bay Packers? And I said, I put them in the same mold. I will not support or ever say anything good about anyone that does the heinous act of sitting and disrespecting our national anthem and our flag. I'm done with them. I'm done with them. And I feel sorry for some of the old stalwarts of a great sport. The Jerry Kramers, the Paul Hornings, the Bart Starrs, the Gale Sayers, all of these people. I feel sorry for them because now they have to look at the current player, and I think they're looking at them with disgust and disdain. Not all of them, but those that want everything handed to them on a silver platter. We're going to talk to Ray Jensen over at Minidoka Memorial Hospital coming up next hour, and then have terror expert Dan Perkins on the line. That's what's coming up after the CBS News. You stay tuned. Wheels, take it away. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday, October 3rd. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Great big fall tire sale going on right now. And including some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services. Don't forget, get on the route service. It's so easy. Just call them up, tell them where you live, and by golly, they're there to get rid of your garbage. It's just so simple. Call them at 734-6969. Western Way Services, as I said, they are always at your disposal. You get a hold of them today. Let's see what else have we got cooking here. We're going to have Ray Jensen from Minidoka Hospital on momentarily, but I also want to remind you, too, about, hey, it's going to get chilly before too long, and then it's going to get doggone cold. And that means winter's right around the corner, so check out the Lennox Home Comfort Systems at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're located, of course, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. You be sure and get a hold of them today, and they are saving you money on your comfort. Also want to say a big thank you for being on the program for so long, and that's, of course, Joel Heward, manager, his family and staff at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. These folks really care. They want to make sure that you are taken care of with all your questions, and they'll provide all the answers and all the service. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are there to treat you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please remember the number and give them a call at 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Right now, we're going to talk to Ray Jensen. Deanna, if you could just hold that over there a little bit down, I'd appreciate it. Ray Jensen's next up from Minidoka Hospital. Good morning, Ray.
How are you?
I am fantastic.
You sound fantastic.
Well, that a girl, your check's in the mail.
Perfect.
You have got an event tomorrow that I wished I could jump over and be a part of because you're having breakfast. Tell us about it.
We are, and you're going to be sorry if you miss it.
I know. It's called Break for Breakfast, and it's at Minidoka Memorial Hospital at 1224 8th Street in Rupert. Tell us all that's going to happen.
Okay, well, it starts at 7 o'clock. We kick off then. We can't open the drive-through until 7 o'clock, though. And so we usually have a lineup of cars, and it totally stresses me out to see people waiting, and I feel bad that we can't let people through early, but we really can't. So at 7 o'clock we'll open up, and all people have to do is drive through the front parking lot of the hospital. There will be one stop where they get breakfast, and then they keep driving through. There's another stop where we'll give them a gift, and another stop where we will give them information on breast cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
You don't even have to get out of your car. You don't even have to get dressed. You can wear your pajamas and robe. For as far as we care, we think it's great. We just want people to show up and kick off Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Well, now, this is really an innovative idea. Now, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but this is basically limited, but not really limited. About first 850 people, right?
That's exactly right. So we start at 7, and we don't like to give an ending time because we never know when we're going to run out. Sometimes we run out really fast. Well, okay, usually we run out really fast. So if we say until 9 and people come at 8:45 and we're done, they get upset. So we say we start at 7 and we go until we run out.
Well, this is all in conjunction with Breast Cancer Awareness Day. And, boy, are we gaining anything? Is the research there? Are we beating this insidious disease? What's going on here?
Well, I will tell you, I think that being so aware and all of there's just been a lot of people looking at breast cancer closely. People are very aware, when before I don't think they were. And so I think that women are more apt to come and get their mammograms earlier. I think they're more apt to come and get them every year instead of waiting, because I think people are starting to understand that the earlier we can detect this, the easier it is to treat and the easier it is to survive. The chances of surviving are so great. And we can detect it so early now with all of the digital equipment and all that we do.
Ray,
so I think that it has made people very aware.
Ray, let me ask you this. In the last administration, and I'm not trying to turn this into a political football, but there seemed to be some stories going out that, oh, no, you don't have to go and have a checkup. Oh, no, you don't have to be a part of this. And I absolutely took offense at that because I don't think we do enough to protect ourselves from some of the very dangerous diseases that are out there.
I would have to agree with you. Wholeheartedly, I agree with you. I've never heard anyone say that is up on this that you don't need to get your mammograms. Women should be getting their mammograms every year after the age of 50 for sure. There is some debate between the ages of 40 and 50 whether you should come every year or every other year, and that's something that you can talk to your physician about. But after the age of 50, every woman should be having a mammogram every year.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And men get breast cancer as well. We don't do screening mammograms on men routinely because it is more rare that they would get breast cancer, but we do mammograms on men when they have a lump or any kind of a symptom.
Well, now, this is a free breakfast. I mean, why don't you just open the doors and say, come on in and be sure and have your mammogram, ladies? But, boy, you're going to a lot of effort to give people a free breakfast.
Well, it's fun for us, though. We enjoy it, and we want to kick off this month with a bang. And we want to make it easy for people. We want people to just be aware. And if it's easy, all they have to do is drive through. They can stay in their warm car. I think that people are more apt to come. But, of course, we want people to come in and have their mammogram. We get so many mammograms in the month of October, and I think that's great. That tells us right there that women are very aware that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
You know, Ray, what you just said, though, I mean, what about the other 11 months? Do people put it on the back burner? Do they forget about it? Or are some people afraid of not knowing what might be wrong and they kind of shy away from it? What are some of the reasons people don't go and really check themselves out other months of the year?
Well, they do. I will tell you that October we definitely get our influx of mammograms done. We do. But a lot of women, they do it on their birth month year, or they just wait until the year that they happen to come in that their doctor sent them. If they've had a mammogram done here, and I have to say that I think that most hospitals do this, we send out reminder letters. So we try to send a reminder every year. After it's been a year, we send a letter out so the women knows, hey, it's time to come back in. But a lot of women remember, hey, it's my birthday, it's time for my mammogram. A lot of women do it in the month of October because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You can come any time. I think that a lot of women come in October just because of the month. But there's definitely no rule for that. We just want women to come every year to have their mammograms.
Let me ask you this question, and I think you're very well qualified to give me a good dissertation on this. As compared to maybe 50 years ago, or maybe even 70 years ago, or maybe as soon as maybe 15 years ago, are we gaining anything on research, or why is breast cancer so much more prominent today?
I think that we're just more aware. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their life. That's a lot. So if you're out to lunch with your sisters and your mom or your aunts, probably one of you is going to get breast cancer. It's 1 in 8, so it's huge. And we've definitely come a long way in the mammograms and the biopsies and the research. There definitely has been tons of improvement in all of that. But I think the biggest thing is making people aware. And women definitely seem to be aware. And men seem to be aware. So they are supportive of sending their wives, their daughters, their mothers in to get their mammograms. Awareness is a huge deal. I think because of that, we have caught things so much earlier than we used to. And then it's more curable and treatable, for sure. I really think a lot of it has to do with awareness, but definitely as far as just the screening and the how things are seen has made vast improvements over the years.
You know, I've been involved in many, many projects with the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, with the Tough Enough to Wear Pink, and then other events. What about the research money? Are they making headway? Are there optimistic attitudes on the horizon? I mean, what's happening there?
I know the attitudes are really, really positive. We work closely with Komen. We get a grant every year from them, and they seem very positive. As far as what research is being done and where they are with it, I know it's being done, and I know improvements are being made, but I honestly couldn't speak to what exactly they have done, although I know it's there. I know that they're treating it differently with different treatments and different options for women as they find out what kinds of cancer they have. Because that's a big deal.
You know, Ray,
what kind to treat and how to treat it.
You know, Ray, you bring up a really interesting point, and cancer is kind of an all-encompassing word for many derivatives of cancer. Is there an opportunity, you think, with research that, I'm an old man, but in your lifetime and others, we might see this dreaded disease just stomped on and eradicated?
Well, nothing would make me happier than that. I've had my own personal trouble with cancer in my family, and it's a terrible disease, and it seems that everyone is hit with it in one way or another, either personally or with someone they love. And so I would hope that they would come to some sort of, I would hope that they'd be able to eradicate it someday. I don't know. I know it's difficult. I know it's huge money, but it's terrible. It's a terrible disease.
But there is the ray of sunshine with early detection, and that means working with your health advisor and really staying on top of things. Early detection, like it says right here, is the best protection.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer in that. There's just no doubt about that. There's no question. The earlier we can detect this, the better it is, because we can treat it and cure it.
You didn't tell me.
The longer it goes on, the worse it is. It has a chance to spread at that point, and we don't want that.
Absolutely. You didn't tell me what you're going to be serving for breakfast.
It is going to be good, I will tell you that. Stokes and Burley has hooked us up with a great breakfast sandwich. We'll have we like to do strawberry milk because it's pink, but we'll have white milk for those that don't like that, and a granola bar and fruit snack. It's going to be good. And our gift, I'm not even going to tell you what it is, but it's really cute. People are going to like it.
All right, now that's tomorrow. Give us a rundown of the times and everything else one more time.
Okay, so it's tomorrow in the front parking lot of the hospital. All you have to do, once again, is just drive through. It starts at 7 o'clock. You'll stop at one stop and get breakfast. The next stop you'll get a gift, and the next stop you'll get information on breast cancer. We do have a special gift for that. We have a lot of kids drive through on their way to school with their parents. So we have a lot of kids, and we got a special gift for the kids this year. So they have something a little bit different, but I think they're really going to like it.
I really compliment you and Minidoka Memorial Hospital. Very innovative idea. Break for breakfast tomorrow, starting at 7 o'clock. Ray Jensen, God bless you. Don't make yourself a stranger. Come back more often.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I sure appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too.
Great event
Bye-bye.
tomorrow at Minidoka Memorial Hospital. The Break for Breakfast, celebrating Breast Cancer Awareness Day, and it gets underway at 7 o'clock. Free breakfast, free gifts. Holy smokes, you better get over there. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Have you got little kitty cats? You got dogs? Steers, horses? Well, you want to make sure they're always taken care of and healthy. Well, stop by Ark Animal Hospital or give them a call at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Here's the number you should have on your refrigerator. Take a black magic marker and go big numbers, 678-1177. 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. And, you know, it's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all, they can take care of them all. So Dr. Bill and the crew at Ark Animal Hospital in Hayburn. Here's that number again. Call them, 678-1177. All right, your calls, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I'd love to hear from you, so give me a jingle on the landline. And one of the things, I was talking earlier last hour, and a lot of you say, well, boy, you're sure jumping on the NFL. Yes, I am. And I'm not going to quit. I think the NFL and many of its players have denigrated and deteriorated a respect for a sport that was, at one time, the largest part of sports in America, and that was the National Football League. But when I read stories about how the Lions owner, Martha Ford, literally had to sweeten the pot, if you will, with players on her sideline so that they would stand for the national anthem, that is so repulsive to me. And it's absolute blackmail. Ford is offering the Detroit Lions players both donations and her name towards their own philanthropic pursuits in exchange for the players not kneeling during the presentation of the national anthem. You know, right there, that's just like sandpaper going across my face. That makes me so mad. Well, we'll stand for the national anthem, but you give me money. Give me money for this. Give me money for that. And then, I'll stand for the national anthem. I don't mean it. I'm not respectful. I don't care, but you give me the money and I'll stand. That is nothing more than paying some of these clowns to falsify their beliefs and stand for our national anthem. This story just absolutely is repugnant to me. That a couple of the players that kneeled, they're going to say, well, I'll stand, but you pay me money for this, and you pay me money for that, and then I'll act like everything's hunky-dory. Does this not bother you? It just sickens me that, is that professional sports? You are going to be blackmailed. I'll stand so that you, the owner, and the team look okay, but you slip me money under the table. I'm done with the Lions. I'm done with everybody. I don't care if it's the Green Bay Packers. I'd be done with them. And I am, because they had a couple of the Packers kneel and take a seat during the anthem. And you know what else is going on here? Some of the players, because of their stupid attitude, now high school players are getting involved. And I read that 2 high school football players in Texas, they were kicked off their team in September for kneeling during the anthem. Some of the parents said, you can't kick my son off the team. Well, I'm glad the coach did it. I'm glad that he just said, dude, hit the locker room, take your pads to the equipment trainer, turn them in, you're out of here. We don't need you on this team if you can't show respect for our flag and our country. God bless Texas. and God bless this coach, kicked off the team. He didn't care if they were the starting running back. He didn't care if they were the starting defensive end. He didn't care if they were the star of the show. He told them to take their pads and hit the locker room. That's what should happen. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. It's just sad that the desecration of the flag, and of course you know the story of Fort McHenry, and all of the hundreds of thousands of Americans that have died to support that flag. Look at the you've been back to Washington D.C. to see Iwo Jima. The same kind of thing there. Those Marines, and my father-in-law was a Marine in the South Pacific, and believe me, 9 out of 10 of his buddies didn't make it home. I mean, and that Iwo Jima is the modern-day symbol of Fort McHenry, in my opinion.
Right.
And for them to just desecrate the flag, Roger Goodell, he owes us an apology, and the NFL does. And I haven't watched any football, and I called their hotline back there and said, you know, I'm not going to watch any more football. You owe us an apology. And it's just sad that they're going to use, you know, we've all heard what Kaepernick had said. And if they're supporting that, good grief. I mean, and these guys are totally talk about.
Well, Adrian, wait a minute.
The country.
Wait a minute. Let me jump in here. I would take what you said and I would dissect it a little bit. And I would not say that Goodell owes us an apology. What I would say is that Goodell owes us his resignation. He has failed to be a leader in the biggest, richest sport in America that more families watch every week and during the week. And I absolutely think not a apology. That doesn't hold any water with me. I want him to resign because he hasn't done the job.
Well, that would be certainly the ideal thing to do, Zeb. Absolutely, I agree. But it's just unbelievable. You know, when we at our Kiwanis meeting today here in Filer, we're going to sing all 3 verses. And I think if people would do that in their various civic groups and what have you, we only sing the first verse, but actually the other 2 verses are just as meaningful, if not more so, especially the last verse.
Well, wait a minute, Adrian. There are 4 verses, and quite frankly, the 4th verse is one that I read on my program last week.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know where I got the 3. Yeah, there's 4 verses, but the last one is, to me, the most important. And so I think that we need to read the whole thing, even if we're not singers like myself, but at least participate. And I can remember sporting events from junior high through high school, tournaments and so forth, the national anthem being played, and how proud I was to have ancestors that supported that flag, you know, during the wars.
I tell you what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do, Adrian.
Nearly 90 years old, was wounded in Korea. And anyway, you know, and he fought as a Marine, put right on the front lines, basically, and lucky to come home.
Absolutely. But here's what I want to do, Adrian. Adrian, wait a minute. I've
got to stand up and fight and oppose this nonsense.
All right. Now, wait a minute. Here's what I want to do, because I'm out of time in this segment, but I'm going to take a little extra time. I thank you for your call, but I am going to read the last verse of our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. So thank you for reminding me about doing this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're certainly welcome, Zeb. Have a great day.
All right. He brings up a good point, because the way the verbiage is in the Star-Spangled Banner, the last verse, I think, is really applicable to these slovenly clowns that call themselves NFL football players. Oh, thus be it ever, when free men shall stand, between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us as a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just. And this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Amen. We'll have our next guest with us momentarily. Right now, I also want to remind you about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, the professionals about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more. And they can help you, your family, and your business with protection that you need to have and should have. Give them a call today. Make an appointment. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Dedicated and responsive to your needs. Also, real fast, let's not forget our friends over at Let's Ride. Oh, boy, that's where the fun is sold. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And yesterday when they saw that old angel dandruff falling, they said, snow, get the snow machines out. They've got all the new 2017 snowmobiles, and you can get over and take a look at them, along with all the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides, all the accessories, and a great service department at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. It's true. This is where the fun is sold. Caller, good morning. Quickly, I'll go to my guest right after you. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a comment, Zeb. In God we trust. That was the last official act of Lincoln before he was assassinated. To put that on our coinage.
That's right.
And under God was added to the Pledge of Allegiance during the Eisenhower administration. So I just, God has been part of our country. We're a Christian heritage, and this is just desecration. So I
absolutely
make that comment that in God we trust is attributed on our coinage to Abraham Lincoln.
I appreciate it. Got to run to my next guest. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. And speaking of my next guest, a man that I've got a lot of respect for. He is an Islamist historian, know all about terrorists. He's a terrorism analyst and contributor, and also the writer and author of the Brotherhood of the Red Nile trilogy. He's been on this program many times in the past, and hopefully he'll consent to come back many times in the future. Good morning, Dan Perkins. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Well, a little bit shaken after what happened on Sunday evening in Las Vegas. I have stayed many times at this hotel. I know the area very well. I know a lot of the people down there that are good friends of mine. And quite frankly, I thought this is one of the most horrendous events I've ever seen or witnessed in Las Vegas or anywhere in the country.
I would agree. As I understand it, I have owned guns in my lifetime. I gave one to my number 3 son. My other sons were not interested. But I was just up in New Jersey and for Washington for my son's 40th birthday, and the son who owns the gun and the son who never wanted a gun, and I went skeet shooting and had a good time. I have not been able to find out whether what I heard was true or not, but I had heard that many of the weapons that were in the room were not available to sale to anybody on a retail basis.
That's right. That's
so
right.
I don't know where he got it, like the automatic AR-57, I think that's true. Is that right? The AR-15, excuse me.
Right.
AR-15.
Right.
Automatic version is not something you could buy at a show or a gun shop. Where it comes from, I don't know. So we don't know in the cache of weapons right now how many of them were illegal and unavailable to purchase, how he got them, yet to be determined.
Let me ask you, Dan, are you on a speakerphone or a cell phone?
I'm on a cell phone.
Okay, because we're having just a little trouble getting you through.
Let me do something.
Okay, thank you. My point is to...
Any better?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Thank you. My point to go along with what you just said, many of the weapons... Now, I am not a gun expert. I own guns, but I am not a gun expert. I will never purport to be a gun expert. But I did talk to some of the experts that I trust in that field, and they said the transitionalization of some of the weapons can be easily done if you have the right equipment and the knowledge. I will not even explain what that is on the air. So some of the weapons that were semi-automatic weapons, he transitionalized into automatic weapons. So he had a vast knowledge of what he was doing with these guns.
I have no doubt that they could have been modified. There's one question that has bugged me since I heard the report. I've stayed in that area many times. I haven't stayed at Mandalay Bay, but I've stayed in the area where those hotels are. And my understanding is that he was on the 32nd floor.
Yes.
And he shot from the 32nd floor across the parking lot all the way into the festival grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a long way for an automatic weapon to reach.
Well,
As I said, I'm not a gun expert. I'm trying to find somebody that can answer that question for me. Is it possible, even with an automatic weapon?
Well, the distance...
that distance and be effective.
Yeah.
Obviously, there were over 500, and again, this is something we have to be very careful of. There were 500, the last report I saw, that was 520 people injured.
Right.
I have only heard one person from the government in Nevada who articulated that many of the injured were a result of being trampled and not gunshots. So the way the media is reporting it is that there were 59 killed and 520 injured, as if they were all injured from the gun, and they could all been injured as an effect of the gun, but they weren't all shot. So the 520 people were not wounded by the weapons.
Well, I can tell you,
I don't know how many were actually wounded. All I know is that one of the medical people said that there were people who were trampled and run over and thrown against things that in their escape try to get away from it. So still doesn't negate the fact that it's a tragedy. The thing that was interesting to me, and I'm not changing subjects, I'm just giving you an observation. I can't take credit for this observation. I wish I could give you the name of the person who said it, because I heard it on the radio and I didn't hear the person's name. The gentleman said, "Isn't it amazing that within 12 hours of the shooting, the FBI came out and unequivocally said it was not a terrorist activity?"
Yeah.
The FBI has been looking into Donald Trump's and his connections with the Russians about in hacking our election, and they still haven't found anything.
You know, I'd like to jump in on this a little bit, because I think you raise an excellent point. Let me go back a little bit to the trampling and the running over and the jostling and the bruising and everything else that occurred. I can verify what you said. And over at the station, Wheels, watch the feedback on this line. Because I talked to people that were there, and they said many injuries were sustained in their own little group of people trying to run away. The people were knocked down. There was a man that they saw that was knocked down by a barricade fence, and people just kept stepping on him in their herd mentality of getting away, none of which I'm blaming, because everybody was frightened for their lives. So your point is well taken on that. Secondarily, talking about the FBI, why do they come out and negate any idea that maybe ISIS was involved when we did have a report yesterday that ISIS was taking credit for it?
Right. Good question. You have to ask the FBI that. I mean, I thought it was. I said to my wife when I heard that statement, I said, "That's crazy." There's people on the crime scene. The sheriff even said we haven't even finished processing the crime scene, and the FBI comes out and says no evidence of terrorist activity. Well, in reality, forget about whether you want to say it was ISIS or Al Qaeda or whoever you want to say. Was it not a terrorist act?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely it was. So it may not have been a terrorist act associated with a particular individual, but clearly was an act of terrorism, because the whole point of terrorism is to create fear. And there were a lot of scared people at that site on Sunday.
You know, but Dan, you're very good at understanding situations like this. And I guess I'll defer to your knowledge because, A, he planned this event very carefully to make sure he had a room with the best view. B, he had to transport all these guns, all the ammunition, everything up to those rooms, of which I can't understand why the maid service didn't see something that looked out of line. He had cameras set up in the room so that he could visually see if anybody was trying to break in, etc. This was a very, very strong pre-planned event, and I'm having a hard time buying that there wasn't something connected to terror.
I agree. That's why when I heard about the number of weapons, I mean, how do you get that many weapons up to your room? I suppose you could carry them up a few at a time in something. But you're right. I would be surprised that the maid service, and maybe that's one of the security things that they have to do. And I heard another thing yesterday. Former police commissioner in New York City was saying nobody except God knows how many windows there are in office buildings and hotels around the United States, around the world. There's no way you can cover every window. We don't have the personnel. So we're going to have this opportunity for people, and what are the things that we can do? And maybe we have to put metal detectors like we do in airports for people checking into hotels. Maybe the maid service has to be more aware of when you find 50 weapons in a room and thousands of rounds of ammunition, you got to say something.
Yeah.
So the security procedures will probably change, but the point that you're making, which I think is the one that has not been talked about very much, is the fact that this was not a spur of the moment thing to do. This was something that had been pre-planned for some amount of time. I don't know how long, and he executed his plan. And then they said that he executed himself. And isn't it interesting that in all of these mass shootings, it seems like the perpetrator kills himself at the end?
Yeah.
Sandy Hook, the guy who killed the kids in the elementary school, killed himself. On and on and on. The assassins wind up killing themselves. And that's what this guy did. He wound up killing himself. So I'm fascinated with why that happens, but you're absolutely right. This was a premeditated, pre-planned program that he was going to do, and I don't know if we'll ever find out what was his motivation. But clearly, it's a sad day for our country. But it's the world we're living in, Zeb. I mean, as much as we hate what this man did and what he stood for, the reality is that we live in a more violent world, and people who have dissatisfaction with a government, a people, or whatever are now taking out that dissatisfaction in terms of violence.
Let me ask you this, Dan, and you're the most qualified, I think, to answer this because you understand the mindset of ISIS and Al Qaeda and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to perpetrate. Why? Why do you think if they didn't have an involvement in this horrific shooting, would ISIS come out just literally minutes and hours after this happened and say, well, yeah, that was one of our guys. Yeah, we take credit for it. Why? I don't understand that.
Well, the great question, Seb. There are people that are saying now that he wasn't connected with ISIS.
Uh-huh.
Yet I heard a number of commentators speak yesterday that ISIS is historically not been quick to claim responsibility for something. They don't want to have their reputation impugned that they're actually lying and they didn't do something. I really think it's too soon to tell whether or not this man was a member of ISIS or a lone wolf, somebody who had been radicalized. It's unusual that a man of his age, not that he was old, but you don't typically see people of his age acting in a terrorist capacity. So there are a lot of unanswered questions. But to try and answer your question as best I can, I think one of the reasons why they claimed responsibility for it is look at the headline: largest mass shooting in the history of the United States.
Right. You know, Dan,
and by claiming it, they've added an element of fear.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, they've added an element of fear. And then you go on, as we started this program and we talked about the 520 people, they were not all shot, but the news media that I've seen doesn't seem to want to differentiate from those people who were shot versus how many were injured in the chaos.
Absolutely.
And I've yet to see how many people were actually... We saw the people that were killed, and I haven't heard anything about... last thing I heard that there were 18 people still in critical condition in the hospital, but I have not heard anything about any other people being treated for gunshot wounds.
Right.
So until we get that, we don't know what the ratio of panic versus actual shooting was.
You know, Dan, one of the things that, and maybe I'm nitpicking here, you're an author and you look at all the facts and put things down in a very coordinated effort in your books, but one of the things I'm missing here is the man's personality. His brother was shocked about this happening. His neighbors, that literally the homes in that area of Las Vegas are less than 30 feet apart. They didn't know the man. They never talked to the man. They didn't know anything about what he did. People don't know that much about his personality. The FBI doesn't know that much about his personality. And he seems like a person, if you will, that just dropped from the upper heaven and took over a bad task of killing people, and nobody seems to know anything about him.
Well, I would say that I wouldn't dispute what you're saying, except I would take it a little step further. When I was growing up in Columbus, Ohio, we knew all our neighbors.
Yeah.
We don't know our neighbors. I mean, go back to the California shooting. A couple lived in an apartment, and yet when the neighbors were interested, they didn't know anything about them, living literally wall to wall next to them. So my point is that we have withdrawn as a society. You really have to work at identifying and talking to your neighbors and socializing. And I think there's a great majority of our people in our country today who are not interested in learning to know who their neighbors are because they don't want to get involved in what's going on. So I'm not surprised that his brother or the neighbors had no idea what he was doing, because we don't know much about our neighbors today.
Yeah. One final thought, Dan, and you're the expert on this. With all this tragedy, with the mass shooting and everything else that's gone on in the United States, with the NFL and their clowns that are taking a seat during the national anthem, it seems like the very important story of North Korea has been put on the back burner and somebody forgot to turn on the stove. What's going on, in your opinion, right now with North Korea?
Thank you for the opportunity. I have been writing about this story in my commentary for months, and I wrote probably 2 months ago on Lifestat, Laura Ingram's blog, about what I thought was the solution that nobody was talking about or doing, and that was a blockade of North Korea. Because I said that economics is going to win the day here, and I may have even said on your show that the total GDP of North Korea is equal to the gross domestic product of Reno, Nevada. one city in the United States. And its importance to China as a trading partner is de minimis. In a year, they'll export about $2.3 billion from North Korea to China, which is equal to what China exports to the United States in 38 hours. And so what happened here is we've seen that the UN Security Council, including Russia and China, increased sanctions and voted for the sanctions. Then we had China last week and a half ago say to all of its banks they could no longer do business with the government or any enterprises in North Korea. And then over the weekend, the Chinese government said any Chinese company that has manufacturing or business in North Korea must close, and any North Korean company that has manufacturing or people employed in China have to leave. So it's all about economics. It's not about missiles and nuclear missiles and aircraft carriers. It's that the economic pressure. And so I think what's happening is, and I've been watching it, and you're right, it's on the back burner, but China has become extremely aggressive, really supporting the U.S. position and Mr. Trump's position of making it painful for North Korea to continue with the nuclear and missile program. And it's getting to the point now where I read an article this morning where the Chinese and the Russians are beginning to be so very concerned about the attempt of illegal immigration of the Chinese or the North Koreans out of the country to China and Russia. And they've got 400,000 troops on the border to try and stop that. So the economic sanctions are working. Whether that'll stop him from eventually pushing the button, I don't know. But they're doing the right thing. It's economic pressure, not rhetoric, is what's going to make them either the people to revolt against him or for him to change his mind and to become more of a citizen of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to have Dan Perkins on my program, author of the Brotherhood of the Red Nile trilogy and excellent man on terrorism. And Dan, please come back soon. I always value you on my program. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. Excellent guest right there, Dan Perkins, and I thank him very much for taking the time to be on my show. Want to take the time right now and tell you about the weather forecast. I understand it's supposed to get a little bit nasty outside, and the weather forecast is brought to you by Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company, CPAs that have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. The very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, payroll services, retirement planning. Oh, yeah. You better get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday as we saddle up and ride again for another day, looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be on the breezy side. Winds out of the east-northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour, increasing as we get through the afternoon. Gusts high as possible as 25. High of 55 is what we're expecting for today. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling in, bringing along with it a chance of rain showers. Winds are going to remain consistent. Gusts as possible as 30 miles an hour. Low of 38 for tonight. Tomorrow, 50% chance of rain showers, mostly in the morning. Looking at partly cloudy skies by tomorrow afternoon with a high of 53. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 54. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 59. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to everybody by Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. CPAs that really care about you, your family, and your business. And they can help a lot of people starting a business or business owners wanting to expand and hire more employees. Get a hold of them today. Like I said, with offices in Burley and Rupert, the best. Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. Caller, quickly. I've got 2 minutes. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Well, I just want to touch briefly on your last caller's, your last guest comment about the not knowing if the rifles that Jack Wad in Arizona or Las Vegas was using, but he would need to have a gun that would be like a sharpshooter, because a 22 shell will travel up to a mile. A 7 mm bullet will travel up to 4.5 miles. All he had to do was just lob bullets that direction.
And that's basically and very unfortunately what happened. But the absolute en masse situation of 22,000 people in a confined area, you didn't have to be much of a marksman.
No, he didn't have to be any at all. So anything, a 22 would have been effective.
You know, and the horrific thing that we're talking about as far as killing people, it's almost become commonplace in this world, and it sickens me of the death and devastation that took place. But something has got to be done, whether it was inspired by terrorism through ISIS or whatever. We've got to be more cognitive about what's going on in our world.
I think that it's the hate in the world. We're so caught up in hate on both sides of the issue. On every issue, we can't just civilly debate something. We have to hate the issue. We have to hate the people that have an issue, have a different opinion than us. It's hate.
I agree with you emphatically, and God bless you for your call and your comments. Call me again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless you. The lady's right. Hate in this world. You know, I'll speak out about any subject, and I'm not going to have some liberal or anyone tell me, oh, that's hate speech. No, I'm speaking out on issues that need to be talked about. And that's where we've lost the ability to visit with the other side, talk to the people, come up with some concrete answers, and maybe some common ground. Don't forget Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. And they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your loved one that maybe needs a little bit more one-on-one care. They're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and I urge you to stop by. Visit the facility, ask questions. They're there to serve you. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Right now we're going to run to the news, and then Dr. History. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't interrupt me with music. We were having too much fun visiting. Dr. History's here. We're going to have him on the air momentarily, so stand by for that. Thank you very much. It is Tuesday, and Dr. History will be here momentarily. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a big fall tire sale going on right now. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service, 734-6969. I want to remind you quickly that we have on Thursdays another great segment that really is popular, and that's Cassia County School Days. Cassia, did you hear that, Doc? And, of course, it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And they've got all the scrubs and all the baby furniture and the cribs. And they've got the top-rated #1 car seat by Chico. Check it out today at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. Along with Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue, Suite E in Burley for your outpatient surgeries. And they can save you money on life-saving colonoscopies, carpal tunnel, hand surgery, etc., many, many more. At, of course, Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley, the number to call, 677-8888, bringing you Cassia County School Days on Thursday. Right now it's time for the one, the only, and boy are we happy about that, Dr. History. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing?
I'm good, my friend. Boy, you look kind of spiffy over there with a new striped shirt on.
Well,
and
it's actually an old one, but...
I didn't want to mention that you had frayed collars and the holes at the elbow.
Well, see, when I used to work, I sometimes would leave one of those gel pins in my pocket. Oh. And when that goes to the washer and the dryer, yeah.
Does your wife nag at you like mine does about, take things out of your pocket?
No, she's very kind. She's very...
You're a coward.
You're right. I know who cooks my dinner.
Boy, I know who used to.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, before we start, I want to say hi to some people that have written comments into the webpage. Karen, Alan, Jim, Marion, William, Michael, Kevin, Joseph. These are people that have taken the time to write comments into my webpage, and I appreciate their input. Yeah, some of them have mentioned things they would like to see on the program or hear about, and so anyway, I want to thank those that have taken time to do that.
That's nice.
So today, Zeb, I needed to start out with a disclaimer.
I don't like those.
Those with somewhat of a weak stomach may not want to.
Are you going to do this to me again? You did it a couple of months ago.
I know.
And it's right before the lunch hour.
Okay. So I'm going to show you pictures, Eb.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I can't hardly.
Okay. Now see this picture? That's a group of Indians.
It looks like some of the Nez Perce.
Okay, they're not.
They're not.
But I'm just going to tell you, if these people invite you to dinner, don't go.
Why?
Oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to that.
There's a hook if I ever heard one.
I got you now. You got to hear this.
Right.
Okay, the Tonkawa Indians. All right, that's who we're going to be talking about.
Not Tonka Toy.
No, Tonkawa.
Okay.
They were a small tribe who once claimed part of southeastern Texas as their home. By 1862, their tiny population was erecting grass-thatched huts and teepees along the high plateau which overlooked the valley of the Washita River. And you've heard of the Washita.
Yep.
So anyway, 5 years before, in 1857, the government gathered up the Tonkawa along with other small Texas tribes and moved them to the Wichita Reservation near Fort Cobb in Indian Territory, and that's in Oklahoma.
Right.
You've heard of Fort Cobb?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Now, for several years, there was peace on this reservation on the Washita, but in the late night cold of October 22nd, 1862, that peace and tranquility was shattered.
What happened?
Well, for one tribe this night, the Tonkawas, what befell them changed their already meager existence forever. And that's what we're going to talk about. So on this night, an explosive attack was carried out by the other tribes on the reservation. Now remember, as I said, they were on this reservation, but some other tribes as well.
Oh, so they had a whole bunch of people that didn't know each other on the same piece of land.
They knew enough. So anyway, it began at the agency, a small group of buildings, which included the commissary, store, and main agency office. When the Indians finished, there were 4 white men. All agency employees were dead. The buildings were plundered, and the agency burned to the ground. Now, we've heard of stories where the agencies are holding back food and clothing and stuff for the Indians.
Yeah, that happened to the Apaches.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. So anyway, the tragedy that took place at the agency was bad enough, but was actually only a dress rehearsal for the slaughter that followed.
Oh, my.
Okay. Now, the attacking Indians numbered about 140 men made up of Shawnees, Delawares, Wichitas, Kickapoos, and a scattering of others, and they headed for the nearby Tonkawa camp. Now, the apparent main objective in this night of terror, all these tribes held the same grudge against the Tonkawas. So you had all these other tribes that didn't like the Tonkawas.
What did they do wrong that everybody hated them?
Oh, well, this is the part that
you keep hooking me on this.
I know. So we'll get to it. Anyway, one group in the attacking force approached the Tonkawa camp from the rear, riding around the camp in a wide circle to avoid detection. Another group concealed itself in the timbered bottomlands below the camp, awaiting the right moment to spring on the Tonkawas. Okay, it was early morning when the attack commenced, and though the first streaks of daylight had not yet begun to spread over the Wichita Hills, the Tonkawa camp, now this was 306 men, women, and children, and they were all asleep. In their teepees. Yeah. Now, the surprise attack was not the only factor working against the Tonkawas. The attackers were mounted and armed with the newest rifles available.
These are the Indians.
Yeah, and these are the other tribes. Now, the Tonkawas, for the most part, had only the bow and arrows. So I'm thinking these other tribes may have stolen guns out of the agency store or whatever. Okay. Anyway, under their chief, Placida, however, the Tonkawas quickly rallied to the defense of their camp. They displayed stubborn resistance against the attacking force because they were able to put up such a strong stand despite their inferior defensive position. A number of the Tonka women and children were able to escape. So you can figure if 300 people, maybe only a third had to be warriors, right? Yeah. If that many. Okay. So maybe 100 against 140. Yeah. Anyway, their fighting ability was not enough to prevent 137 Tonkawas, almost half of their already small population, from being killed. More than 100 of that number were women and children.
Yeah.
Now, the attacking force lost 27 killed and wounded, which was really actually a substantial number considering the competitive edge that they held.
Yeah.
But the loss sustained by the Tonkawas brought them closer to extinction, and it was a blow from which they would never recover. Now, here's what you asked. Okay. Why?
Yeah.
Why, when the American Indian had suffered so much at the hands of the white man, would Indian turn against Indian in such a terrible, devastating way?
Would you hurry up with your story? I'm wild with anticipation.
I'm playing it out here, Zeb.
I see you are.
Yeah. Anyway, the answer never was given, but historians suggest two primary reasons. The first is because the Tonkawas had for several years prior to 1862 acted as scouts for the whites on expeditions against the other Indian tribes.
Oh.
So there's a pretty good factor right there.
Yeah.
The second reason, and this one is a little more unsettling, is that the Tonkawas were cannibals.
What you talking about, Willis?
And we're going to get into that. That's why I said
cannibals. They ate human beings.
Oh, well, I'll get into a little more detail that you may not like.
Maybe I don't want you to.
So there was a guy named Thomas Batty. He was a Quaker Indian agent during this period, and he thought the cause was the cannibalism. He believed the Tonkawas had eaten a couple of Shawnee, and this was the revenge motive of the other Indians. But the appetite for human flesh did not belong exclusively to the Tonkawas. For instance, Cheyenne Indians were able to remove certain taboos by eating the heart of an enemy. Okay?
For all of you, I got to have a disclaimer here. For all of you folks that are sponsors of this program that are in the food business,
just turn it off.
I'm sorry.
Well, so here we go. The Kiowas, who were members of a secret brotherhood, were obligated to eat the heart of the first enemy they killed in battle.
Oh, my gosh!
And incidences of cannibalism among some tribes in Texas prompted missionaries to ask as the first question in confessions, quote, "Have you eaten human flesh?"
And what do they say if they say not yet today?
Not hungry yet. So anyway, if some of the cannibalism was practiced by other Indian tribes, why then were the Tonkawas dealt with such a severe thing? One reason is that the Tonkawas were not secretive about their preoccupations of eating human flesh. Now,
they actually advertised
well,
it?
they let it be known, But the word cannibalism conjures up some bad feelings in people. I mean, think of the Donner Party and a few other things, It's just, anyway.
Why am I sorry today's Tuesday?
We'll get through it, Zeb. Hang in there. Anyway, but this strange and gruesome practice was not detestable to the Tonkawa world. And it was not merely warriors who ate the heart of a slain enemy. In the Tonkawa tribe, everyone participated in eating enemies who fell into their hands.
Are you talking about a smorgasbord?
Men, women, and children.
Oh!
Come and eat. I told you when I started. Anyway, so some historians believed it was logical for the Tonkawa to eat human flesh given their beliefs about the spirit world. So supposedly there's some kind of a spiritual realm, okay? So by consuming parts of an enemy's body, the cannibal could acquire either some or all of the enemy's power, courage, or fighting ability.
You realize, of course, I'm going to remain quiet for the rest of the program.
That's your only safe out right now, Zeb. Only safety. Well, anyway, to a greater degree, the eating of more than only the enemy's heart was thought to be completely destroy the soul of that enemy, thereby giving the Tonkawa the greatest victory he could achieve. So in other words, they're eating them so their spirit or their soul or whatever is, lost forever. Okay. Whatever the reasons, the Tonkawa cannibalism had a real and lasting effect on other Southern Plains tribes. Now, one man who lived among the Texas tribes for some time, his name was James Mooney. He reported that he heard a number of gruesome tales of the Tonkawas.
You're not going to quit, are you?
Oh, no. I got too much time left here, Zeb. So their cannibalism was not reserved for war prisoners. It was not unlike the Tonkawas to ambush lone Indians from other tribes who might be unlucky enough to wander their way.
Couldn't they have grown potatoes?
Not the same. Anyway, this Mooney goes on. He says, more than one missing person was thus traced to the Tonkawa camp, where all clues abruptly ended.
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay, we're not done.
You know, I had a bunch of snide comments to make, but I can't even make them.
Okay, so the Tonkawas did not discriminate when it came to choosing their dinner. Although it has been reported that they feasted more on Comanches. This is probably because Comanche Indians were more numerous in the area, and because there existed a deep hatred between the Tonkawa and Comanche, and the Tonkawas often helped the whites in tracking down hostile Comanches. Okay? All right, now here we go. Here's another guy, Noah Southwick, a Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
He witnessed a Tonkawa feast on a Comanche Indian. After killing the captive, a big wash kettle into which they put the Comanche meat together with a lot of corn and potatoes, and he quotes as saying, the most revolting mass my eyes ever rested on.
He was there?
You're speechless, Eb, and so am I.
I got to admit, I own this program, and I don't want to say anything.
Okay, well, I'm not done. So when the stew, quote, the stew, was sufficiently cooked and cooled to allow of its being ladled out with the hands, the whole tribe gathered around, dipping it up with their hands and eating. Now, having gorged themselves on this delectable feast, they lay down and slept till night, when the entertainment was concluded with what they called the scalp dance.
The what?
Scalp dance.
Scalp dance. Why do I not want you to pursue this?
We'll leave that one, okay?
Okay.
So, now one early Texas pioneer, a guy named John H. Jenkins, he experienced Tonkawa cannibalism. He describes how the Tonkawa persuaded him to show them the body of a Waco warrior that he had shot. Now, Jenkins described how when they discovered the body, they seemed really excited, really happy, delighted. Well, they cooked and ate this guy that Jenkins had shot. Now, Mooney also tells about a Comanche boy captured by a Lipan Apache Indian. Well, one day the boy disappeared after having been reported seen near a Tonkawa camp. So, when you went out for a walk...
You're on your own.
When you went out for a walk, do not go near the Tonkawa village.
Holy smokes.
Now, even after the massacre of the Tonkawa that I mentioned at the beginning in 1862, there were reported incidents of their eating human flesh. As late as 1874, Comanches complained that Tonkawa scouts for the United States Army had been found eating dead Comanches. And several years later, a Tonkawa informant told that human flesh tastes like bear meat. I don't, okay, let me just finish.
Yeah, we had plans for lunch. You want to make that tomorrow?
Anyway, some historians believe that animosity toward the Tonkawas caused that tribe to retaliate by acting as scouts and guides for the whites. And for self-protection, the Tonkawas became allies of the United States Army. And others believe that the animosity resulted from the expeditions the Tonkawas led. And anyway, whatever the sequence may be, it is clear that cannibalism was not the only reason other tribes tried to eliminate the Tonkawas.
Now this is a question that I think I have a right to ask, but how did any tribe or any group of people ever resort to that cannibalism at first anyway? I mean, what possessed them to do this?
You know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb. I think it's because of famines when there was no food available, and I think maybe that may have been the start. So, but anyway, from 1856 through the summer of 1860, the Tonkawas helped the United States Army and the Texas Rangers in expeditions against the Comanche and other hostile tribes. And in December of 1857, about 20 Tonkawas accompanied the 7th Infantry through an area of Texas occupied by the Kickapoos. Now, the following year, Tonkawa Chief Placido led led 100 warriors as scouts against Comanches on the Canadian frontier, on the river.
My.
And the Comanches, led by a guy named Iron Jacket, were defeated in an attack led by the Tonkawas. So the Tonkawas were doing a lot of help for the U.S. military against these other tribes. So it wasn't just the eating.
Well, didn't the military, our military, have any idea what kind of bad dudes these were?
Well, they were helping them. So, yeah. Anyway, in the summer of 1860, Tonkawa scouts accompanied Texas Rangers in an attack on a Comanche and Kiowa camp on the Canadian River in the Indian Territory Panhandle. According to Texas Ranger James Pike, who took part in that attack, when the fighting was over, the Tonkawa commenced roasting and eating some of the dead Comanche.
Oh, boy, there you go again.
We're almost done, Zeb.
Yeah,
another minute.
Okay.
Anyway, after the Civil War broke out, the white man whom the Tonkawa had served so loyally became too involved in their own problems to worry about their Tonkawa allies.
Why couldn't somebody just get them a gift card to some country kitchen someplace?
Yeah. But, the white man's protection was gone now, and the way was open for this massacre that happened with the Tonkawas. So by the 1870s, the Tonkawas had become just a shadow of what was once a tribe of some consequence in Texas. By 1944...
1944?
Way later, only 56 Tonkawas remained, and it was a tribe which had the distinction of being the last cannibals in the United States.
You got to be kidding me.
Now, again, you think about, again, I show you this picture.
Those are the Tonkawas.
And these are some Tonkawas. If they invite you to dinner, just don't go.
That one guy is very, very heavy.
Well, this guy's the chief and his wife.
And he ain't no small dude.
No.
And she is not very petite.
Well fed. But, remember the old story of Jeremiah Johnson?
Yeah.
The movie by Robert Redford.
Yeah,
Actually, his real name was John Johnson.
Yeah.
And you know what he did after he... they sent the individual
You
Crow
realize
warriors.
you're probably getting a lot of cancellations on my schedule of advertisers.
Jeremiah Johnson, John Johnson, and the name of the book is Liver Eatin' Johnson.
Liver Eatin' Johnson. Let me ask you, though, when you hear stories like this and you pursue supposedly the facts, how much of what's written do you take as maybe being distorted a little bit, and how much do you really kind of solidify as being a fact?
These old magazines that I get, this one is True West from 1984. And
that's only 40 years, basically, after the Tonkawas were, you mentioned just a little bit ago.
But it's also, this is by a guy named Richard Sickened, and it says photos courtesy of the Smithsonian Institute and the National Anthropological Archives. So I give this a pretty good credence as far as reliability.
I want to go back to 1944. You said that, what was in 1944?
There was only 44 of them
Okay, but
left.
now 1944, that's only 3 years before I was born.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they had a lot of history, and perhaps at that time, because of the education, etc., were writing about some of their grandfathers and even their parents.
Right. So this could be, like say, a second-generation storytelling that's been researched, because it hadn't been that long that they were living among it.
Wow.
And obviously there's got to be great-grandkids in that group that are still living.
And they're still Tonkawas. There has to be.
And that's something I ought to look up and see if what there is.
You better check your neighborhood. Hi, Dr. Turner, you want to come over to eat tonight? Don't go.
Don't go to the barbecue.
Oh, yeah, the barbecue is a good way to put it. But really there still would be in 1944. Sure. I mean, certainly there's going to be relatives.
Well, look at all the others, the Shoshones, the Blackfeet, the Apache, the Cherokee. There's reservations still all over the country with their descendants. So I'm going to guess that, and that makes me curious. I want to see what I can find about the Tonkawas now.
I suppose you're going to say if you find one that lives in this area, you're going to invite him over to be on the program.
I'm going to invite him to your place.
I doubt, seriously,
Thanksgiving dinner.
The door and the key will be lost.
Thanksgiving, Zeb.
No, seriously, but there would be.
There's got to be some left.
Yeah. You ought to do a little bit of checking on that.
I will, because with that many still in 1944, there's got to be some descendants.
That's a gruesome story.
I know, and I looked at that and I thought, should I or shouldn't I? And I thought,
gruesome won over shouldn't.
It did.
Okay.
I thought, I've been saving this for just the right moment. And this was it.
I feel so honored.
You're so lucky.
I'm such a lucky guy. Next week, can we maybe tone it down a little bit?
I think that could be a possibility.
You think so?
Maybe we'll get something really
Can
nice.
we talk about going fishing on a pond in Kansas or something? For heaven's
or a
sakes?
good bank robbery or
there
something.
There you go. Let's go to a good old bank robbery.
All right.
Holy buckets. Dr. History brought to you by, for maybe the last time, A Child's World and also Ambulatory Surgery Center. Thank you very much for your involvement, and a thanks to Dr. History. Stand by, and I want to remind everybody, too, about Lennox Home Comfort Systems and Ramsey Heating and Electric. Oh, my. You'll feel comfy on the inside this winter, and you may be able to get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox Home Comfort System. All you have to do is check with Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Right now, I'm not going to eat till maybe tomorrow. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studio. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back. Never know what Dr. History is going to have on his segment every Tuesday. By the way, don't forget Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, and they're located at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. And you know what? They make every single effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your loved one that might need that little bit more one-on-one care. So I suggest you give them a call or stop by and take a tour of the facility. They would love to see you. And Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center is the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. So give them a call, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. Really good folks. By the way, too, don't forget on Thursdays we give away a Grand Slam breakfast to Denny's if you can answer the Denny's football trivia contest. So be tuned in and listening at 9:15 on Thursdays. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Thank you very much. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we've had this lady on the program with us quite a few times in the past, and she is Liberty McCarter, writing for The Stream. Good morning, Liberty. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm going to be very honest with you, Liberty. It's hard for me to try to be happy and buoyant and boisterous and everything after the sad happenings down in Las Vegas at a hotel that I've stayed at many times, as a matter of fact. And I know a lot of people in the area, and oh my goodness, evil was in Las Vegas this last Sunday evening.
It certainly was, and it is just devastating. And I think that, people around the nation are still kind of reeling and trying to make sense of this, and we don't have a lot of information still about why this happened. But I think, like you said, evil, and that's what the president said yesterday. It was an act of pure evil, and law enforcement will figure out a motive and the specifics and all of that, but what it gets down to is that there is evil in the world, unfortunately, and it plays out.
Liberty, there's so much that we don't know about the shooter, Stephen Paddock. There's so much we don't know about the maybe rhyme and reason as to why it was done. You, as a writer, I mean, how do you piece everything together? Because it's changing every minute of the day since Sunday.
It is changing, and that's why, I've been... it's tempting when you see bits of information, but I've been trying to really, not jump to conclusions or share anything on the Internet that I don't know is confirmed. But I know that law enforcement has said they found he had, something like over 20 guns in his hotel room and 17 more at home, or vice versa, and explosive materials in his vehicle. But his family had no indication that he even owned that many guns. They thought maybe he had a handgun or two. We do know that his father was on the FBI's most wanted list back in the 60s and 70s and robbed a bank and was a diagnosed psychopath, so there could be some kind of mental disorder running in his family. And we know that ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack, but right now law enforcement is saying that's not really credible. And, ISIS, unfortunately, they're going to try to claim any kind of brutal attack like this so that they can get more recruits for their messed up agenda. So there's not a lot that we know right now, and I think the best thing to do at this point, in my opinion, is to just pray for the people that are affected, the families of the victims, focus on coming together as Americans, and then we'll know more when we know more. And until then, the speculation doesn't always help.
No, but disregard speculation, but I will say that asking questions is a good thing, and I've got a lot of questions. Number one, this man had a premeditated attack that was absolutely studied to the nth degree. He rented the correct room at the elevation that he wanted. He moved all of the guns and ammo up there and was not detected. Question I have is to the maid service coming into the rooms. Did they not notice all this equipment laying there? Was it all sheltered with blankets, etc.? Why wasn't there a question as to what the heck is this stuff? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions I'd like to know.
And that's true, and we do have to ask questions, carefully, but we have to ask those questions. I know he had been in that hotel since Thursday. The shooting happened on Sunday, so he's been in there for a few days in that specific room. And according to the local police department there, the police chief at Las Vegas has given several press conferences and saying that, hotel staff did go into the room beforehand and they did not see anything suspicious. So it makes you wonder at what point he brought the guns up to his room, how he did that, if he hid them somewhere. And one thing that I have also seen is that there are multiple cameras in that Las Vegas Strip, which, since you've been there, I'm sure you're aware. So I think they're probably reviewing all of that and trying to piece those things together. But even if we don't know exactly why he did it, you're right. We do know that he definitely planned it very carefully. They're saying that at least 2 of his weapons were modified to be fully automatic, so just fire multiple rounds with one pull of the trigger. And that's at least 2 of the weapons that they found were like that. And so that's something he probably modified because automatic weapons are very hard to come by legally.
One thing that I would like you to expand upon, and Wheels, again, we're getting a little feedback here. One thing I'd like you to expand upon, Liberty, is this. Why, and this isn't the only time that our government has done this, but why are we so quick to say, oh, no, it wasn't terror related to ISIS or Al-Qaeda, when in essence they don't know yet all the facts and particulars of this man's personality, his traits, what he liked, what he didn't like, who he had arguments with. We really don't know too much, and the government kind of poo-pooed it and said, oh, no, it's not an ISIS attack. What are your thoughts about the government saying, oh, not to worry, it had nothing related to terrorism?
I'm not sure. I think that they probably don't want people to jump to conclusions about it just because of the volatile nature of ISIS, and they probably don't want to give ISIS more attention than is necessary, but because there's always a constant threat with ISIS, and they have their soldiers and people that adhere to their ideology all over the world. But at the same time, I think we've seen this in the past, with attacks, and immediately the authorities will say, that doesn't look like there's any link. This was a local person, and then later on we find out, oh, wait, they did convert to Islam. They had extremist sympathies. So I'm not sure why the government and officials are, so loath to admit that. And I'm not saying that that's the case. Maybe there really isn't any evidence, but they are very slow to jump to those kinds of conclusions. My guess would just be because of the nature of ISIS and the battles that we already have going on with them.
Liberty, one thing I would say to you as a writer is that I'm entirely offended and entirely disgusted with what Hillary Clinton did just literally hours after this mass shooting in coming out with a condemnation of not only the president but also the NRA and all of its members and demanding more stricter gun control. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but all of a sudden it seems like these people crawl out of the woodwork to make a horrendous happening in our country as part of their political stand, and that offends me.
It offends me too, and I'm try to adhere very strictly to, okay, when in the first days after a major tragedy like this, let's not immediately jump to the nasty political debates. But gun control will inevitably come up, and I understand that emotions are running high, but somebody like Hillary Clinton should know better. I mean, even former President Obama tweeted out a message that was just, we're praying, and you can agree with Obama, but it was like, okay, if you're a former government official, just say something simple like that. But Hillary Clinton immediately went to attack the whole gun control issue, and the facts that she tweeted were erroneous in addition to that, and it makes you glad that she's not our president right now, because you don't know what kind of rash action, not supported by facts, that she would be taking. So I will just let you know that, I'm from Texas, and that's pretty much all you probably need to know. And I'm not getting into the gun control debate right now just because I want to respect those who've lost their lives and the families that are mourning them. But in the coming days, after some time has passed, I will be addressing this issue, as somebody from Texas who has a little bit of knowledge about this, and somebody that, I feel like I can speak to it a little bit. So, but yeah, it was very offensive and appalling to see Hillary Clinton and other people just immediately start throwing accusations to a population that is mourning because we've just lost over 50 American citizens, and 500 have been injured in this attack.
Liberty, one of the things that needs to be discussed here and in the future, and for that matter, every day, whether it's the city of Las Vegas, whether it's the city of San Francisco, Dillon, Montana, I don't care where it is. We are all open and accessible for people to commit heinous acts against the population. And I'm going to say this. I don't think there's any way to stop evil from penetrating our society and committing heinous crimes. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, I think you're right, and I think that's why, immediately jumping to conclusions or trying to pass a law that will fix something or prevent an attack like this from happening again, I think they're often well-intentioned, but they don't fix the root problem, because it doesn't matter what weapons anybody has legally available to them. Evil people are going to be evil, and you can pass laws that try to help, but at the end of the day, it's a root issue, it's a human nature issue, and so the more divided and immoral our country becomes, and the more we allow evil to spread and evil ideologies, like terrorist ideologies, and without stopping them, then we're just going to see more evil, and laws don't prevent evil people from doing evil things.
I did see something yesterday that I want you to comment on. You wrote about it briefly in the article that I read, but I saw humanity in politics yesterday with Sarah Huckabee Sanders and also the remarks of our president. I saw humanity, I saw caring, and I saw grief. Would you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. The president, I really appreciated his remarks yesterday. He heavily relied on Scripture to provide hope, saying that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and He saves those who are crushed in spirit. And his remarks were very unifying. He talked about the bonds that unite us and how violence and evil cannot shatter those bonds that we have as Americans. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she teared up when she was, later in the day at the press briefing. She was sharing stories of heroism and self-sacrifice and the people at the concert who died saving their loved ones. And so you see that level of humanity even at the highest levels of government, and you, I think, see our officials, no matter what your opinions on them may be, really focusing on pulling us together as Americans during this time of tragedy, and I really think that's the right response, and I hope Americans follow that example.
Just a moment, though, because you said something that was really interesting right there, the example of President Trump and Sarah Huckabee Sanders and others. I think they've absolutely exerted every effort to put the best foot forward and say and do the right things in a time of tragedy, whether it's Puerto Rico with the complete devastation of the island or this absolute heinous act that happened in Las Vegas. But no matter what they do, the left always seems to want to throw dirt at this situation, denigrate the president and anyone else that stands up with them. I just think they're in a no-win situation.
It's true, and there are people who, will not look at individual situations or individual people, but all they see is a political party that they disagree with or a political agenda or their own political agenda. And so it's not about responding as humans and saying, okay, good job on this or whatever, or responding to individual actions. Because if anybody was responding to individual actions, you would look at the president's statement yesterday and what the government is trying to do and honoring the victims and say, yes, this is what we need to do as Americans. But it's just about, being divisive and furthering their own political agenda. And that is, there's always been some of that to a degree, but I think it's getting much worse recently, and that is one of our major problems. And, one of the things that Jason Aldean, he was a country singer who was performing at the time of the attack, he posted on Instagram last night saying, there's no Democrats and Republicans, men, women, black or white. We are all Americans. We are all humans, and we need to stand together as one. It's time we start acting like it.
Absolutely.
And I think he's so right on that. And yes, we see that at the top level with liberals constantly attacking President Trump no matter what, and people just caught up in their own agenda. And, you don't know what to do about that, but we can start at our level trying to unify and really come together as Americans and focus on what matters.
Absolutely. Liberty, I absolutely want to say thank you to you for taking the time to come on my program. Excellent piece that you wrote for the stream. You always do a great job. Please come back soon on other issues, but thank you for sharing with us this morning. Liberty McCarter with the stream. Thank you.
Thanks, Eb.
All right, take care. Thank you. God bless. Nice lady, and a great article about the horrific events down in Las Vegas. Liberty McCarter, great writer. Time for the weather. Holy cow, and then we'll take some phone calls. And the weather brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats. Hello, Don Scarrow, 331 North Road, Jerome. And you can go to their website, scarrowmeats.com. And the retail meat department is absolutely fabulous. All the different meats. I mean, bratwurst. I'm going again with bratwurst. I know that's my favorite. The different flavors and all the jerky and the sausage and all the way up to prime ribs. Oh, my goodness sakes, they are so good. So good at Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday as we saddle up and ride again for another day, looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today. Going to be on the breezy side. Winds out of the east-northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour, increasing as we get through the afternoon. Gusts high as possible is 25. High of 55 is what we're expecting for today. Tonight, more clouds are going to be rolling in, bringing along with it a chance of rain showers. Winds are going to remain consistent. Gusts as possible as 30 miles an hour. Low of 38 for tonight. Tomorrow, 50% chance of rain showers, mostly in the morning. Looking at partly cloudy skies by tomorrow afternoon with a high of 53. Partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 54. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 59. That's your weather for Zev at the Range.
And I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. Very, very good job. Brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Delicious. Meats from Scarro's Meats, changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. It is good. All right, please give me a call, 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I want to just say again, perhaps you missed it in the first part of the program, how much I appreciate your kindness that you showed me again yesterday on my birthday. So many of you with your kind thoughts and your calls and your emails and your cards and all the gifts and everything, people stopping by. It was very, very much appreciated. Thank you, and God bless all of you. I thank you. And the other thing I want to mention, too, is we're still going gung-ho on the Boots for Texas. Footwear for our friends down in Texas that literally they lost everything in the greater Houston area, especially in the rural areas. A lot of the ranches and the farms and the people in the livestock business, they lost all their boots and their saddles and their tack and everything. And we're trying to piece all this together because we've got a truck and trailer going back down again in a couple of weeks. And thanks to Marty and Hayden Mickelson. And I just urge you to go to the drop-off points. And I've got 3 drop-off points in the Minicash area, and they're your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, the Twist family in Paul, and Randy in Burley. And if you've got some boots that you haven't worn for a long time, and when you put them on, you go, ooh, can't walk on this. It might be a little tight. Our old feet expand a little bit, but they're still in good shape. I don't want any rejects that are all scuffed and broke out and everything, just good boots. And take them into the drop-off points. We'll get them all set to go to Texas in a couple of weeks. Now, that also includes the horse tack. I've talked to many, many people, all their bridles and their bits and their reins and everything just absolutely gone in the flooding. And I just want to thank Marty and Hayden Mickelson for helping out with this great big Bootin' Harvey out of Texas, Hurricane Harvey. And we've had a great response so far. Lots of boots. I mean, some people have even gone and bought brand new boots and contributed them. And thank you. God bless you, folks. I mean, you're such great people, and my listeners are the best. Thank you very much. Got time for some calls. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. I got to tell you this story real quick because I verified this, and I know the writer from the Daily Caller, Justin Caruso. I said the wrong name. But Parks and Recreation, Jimmy Fallon, TV writer, one of the comedy writers for his show, said this, quote, "If you support Trump, you should have your children taken away from you." This is one of the sick, perverted left. A writer for a TV show, Jimmy Fallon's nightly show. And the writer's name is Jen Statsky. He said that the people who support President Trump should have their children taken away from them. Doesn't that give you a real kind of a Nazi Germany attitude and feeling? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, sir, it does. And I want to thank you. You encouraged me to start my diet today, you and Dr. History.
Boy, I'm telling you what, I am not going to sit down to the dinner table for probably 3 weeks.
Oh, man. You know, and what's really shocking about it, the people are criticizing us for taking the country away from the Indians and improving the country.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they had, there's a lot of tribes all over the world that had strange customs,
But, Doug, you know as well as I do, when we were in school, the civilization of mankind was a natural progression of those that have going against those that don't and taking over the rulership of those that didn't try to keep it.
Yes, and trying to better the country, better the world, and better the lifestyle of every human being.
You can go right through Attila the Hun, Alexander the Great. I don't care where you want to go around the globe. And I always get this from certain people that are liberal. Well, you Americans, you did this, and how dare you look in the mirror, why, you filthy American. Wait a minute. Without America, and without all the great Americans, where would we be today without them?
We wouldn't have a free world.
That's right.
We would not. And now I have a little argument with these people that want to blame us for what happened in the slavery, you know, what our great-great-grandparents did.
Yeah, real quick. I've only got about 30 seconds left, Doug, real fast.
Okay. They don't want to hold these dreamers accountable for what their parents did, so why should we be held accountable for what our ancestors did?
Amen. You know what? Let's continue this a little bit more tomorrow morning. Give me a call. I'd love to hear more.
And I'm going to send you an email on that group that you talked about.
I'll look forward to it, my friend. God bless. Thank you.
God bless.
Want to remind you of our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, where doing the right thing matters. And they do the right thing in serving you with the best of tires for all your vehicles, your cars, pickups, SUVs. It's a great big fall tire sale going on right now at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Get in there and drive safely. Along with the best in brake service, highly trained brake technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, very important in the colder weather. You check it all out with the 7 great locations: Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Absolutely the best with a big fall tire sale going on right now. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. In my case, got to walk. And we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. Have a good day.